Oh my goodness. Welcome back to the FreeMelon Society, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Eli Martyr, and today we are continuing on with our Genesis Sunfire Dialogues series. And just Genesis Sunfire is with us today. Thank you so much for joining us, my friend. Always a pleasure to have you back.
Hey, mister.
Great that we can continue these dialogues together. And we'll tell you what's on the menu today. So today we're getting into how we maintain integrity and how we maintain our composure in a culture that is completely unsupportive, right? So how is it that we're able to stay the course when we're dealing with not only your inner demons, all right, your inner unsupportive self who wants to pull you in every single direction, and also on top of that, dealing with the culture that is equally unsupportive. So we're going to get into that, and we also want to get into, if we've got time, how restriction is not really restriction when it comes to obeying the law of nature. Right? These are very important subjects, and how actually obeying the law actually tends to bring you home and gives you more freedom rather than restrict you, contrary to popular belief. And if we have time, we'll get into some dealing with relationships afterwards. So the first thing we want to get into, though, is how exactly do we maintain our integrity in the face of not only our inner demons, but our outer cultural demons as well. And I think that's going to be really helpful. So again, Genesis Sunfire, thank you so much for joining us. And I'm glad that you gave me this, this topic to jump on, because it's important. Like, how the heck do we do it, right?
It's a massive subject, and it's a subject that on my travels, I used to be inundated with these questions.
Mm-hmm.
How do I deal with my family? How do I deal with my girlfriend? How do I deal with my boyfriend? You know what I mean? And I'm actually coaching my wife as we speak, and it's actually been 9 years I've been coaching her. As I said in the first interview, for the first 2 years we were transitioning. Well, sorry, I'll correct that. For the first 2 years we was eating cooked food, and then we transitioned in that 2 years to fruitarianism. And because of me, she got fast-tracked straight to literally liquidarianism, right? And I don't know yet if that was a good thing or not, but that's just how it was. She synced up with me, and she felt that was actually felt right. But having said that, you cannot escape the laws of nature, and you cannot escape the spiritual laws. You've got to go through your initiations, and you've got to clean out, regardless of where you're at or who you with. Just because she was with me, it didn't give her the free pass, Yeah. So it's been an absolute nightmare to watch her go through stuff that I went through in the way that I went through it. But she's been lucky to have me to hold space for her and to understand and to not leave a sinking ship.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because I've had to tolerate the tensions, I've had to tolerate the breakdowns, I've had to tolerate the mental instability, I've had to tolerate the indecisions, I've had to tolerate the junkie, the demons, as you say, the demons. I've had to tolerate that. I've had to exercise those, man. I've had to deal with those, and it's all part of the course. It sounds dramatic as hell, but it's all part of the course. And I think people don't realize that this is what's in front of them. That's why I always tell people, stay raw vegan. Don't mess with fruitarianism unless you're one of those people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Unless you completely get it. You understand the laws of nature. You understand the spiritual laws. We're not talking about new age crap here. We're talking about proper dealing with yourself.
Yeah.
Because that's one of the main things in this, is that you've got to get to know, once you're fruitarian, man, you've got to get to know yourself highest level, right? You've got to know how you tick. You've got to know your protocols. You've got to know how you respond to certain things. You've got to be like a world-class athlete. And it doesn't matter who you are. You could be a 70-year-old woman. You've got to be like a world-class athlete. You've got to be your coach. You've got to be your physio. You've got to be your team, your whole damn team when it comes to this. You know what I mean? You've got to be your spiritual consultant. You've got to be everybody. And what I always, the way I always look at it is you've got, again, that word integrity. You've got to have the most integrity with yourself. You've got to be the real deal with yourself. This is important because you are going to be the only person you have. I coach my wife, but ultimately, it's up to her. I can give her the best coaching advice in the world, but if she doesn't take it, it's just bullshit. Plain and simple. If she doesn't use it, it's just bullshit. And she fails, because she will fail. If she doesn't hold her integrity to herself, if she doesn't contain her emotional state and do the work to do that in order for her to walk the path. Because there's about, I always tell her, there's about five things that we need to deal with simultaneously in order for you just to walk the path smoothly. If one of those things is off, you're not walking this path, period. Period. Your words there were very important. Integrity and being accountable and being absolutely legit in that world-class athlete. Once you step over that line from raw vegan to fruitarian, my poor wife went straight to liquidarianism. So she's had to go hardcore straight out the gate. Out the gate. And she, trust me, she was not the most obedient. She was not the most well-behaved. All right. So she's been getting an absolute ass kicking for the last 9 years here with me. Now, for all the people out there, just imagine that poor woman having to deal with me in the flesh for the last 9 years, going through all of her demons. Can you imagine what she has to endure, what I have to endure, and what she has to decide? Do I want this? Do I want this? This is what it is to be, one, for me to live at an advanced level, and two, for her to live at a beginner's level, dragged into an advanced level. Because the stuff that she's exhibiting is newbie shit. It's newbie shit. Let's just face it, it's newbie shit, right? Now, it's up to her now. And this is what I want to stress to people. I could give her the best results, advice. I could tell her to do this, do that, do this, do that. But essentially, it's down to her to learn. It's down to her to do the extra work in order to learn, right? Because as you know, Eli, the work is phenomenal. And if you're not a certain person that enjoys that shit, it's extremely overwhelming. And you can, if you don't have the mental stability, you can get caught getting stuck, getting overwhelmed and freezing. Right?
There's some important facts that people need to get into their minds when they're thinking about not only jumping on the course, but staying the course. And that is that first thing that, I was just having this conversation yesterday with one of my friends and had a wonderful conversation. And law, and how law doesn't care. We mentioned it before, but whether you have a fantastic teacher or not, you still have to abide by the law. So your teacher can be amazing, but if you jump off a building, gravity's going to take you to the ground. So we need to navigate that plummet in an intelligent way so that you don't splat on the ground, right? And so you can get to the bottom floor safely. And that would, symbolize the process. And then, of course, the other part is when we jump from that raw vegan state to that fruitarian state, or even higher, or liquidarian, what you have to understand is you're graduating from one place to another, to a higher place, and responsibility comes with that. So the more you ascend, and I say ascend, I don't get the wrong idea that we think that we're elevated beings or anything. I'm just talking about making more refined.
You mean we're not?
Style, and that comes with responsibility. where you have to be your own doctor, your own physician, because there's, like we said, there's no support out there in the world for people doing this. And all the information, all the statistics, all the studies, these are all designed around people doing and living conventionally. So we don't have data for this, and we don't have information, and so there's just no support. There's just no support. And so it starts to become your responsibility. Just like a kid grows up, no responsibilities, they gain some maturity, they gain some conscious evolution, and all of a sudden they have more responsibilities now. So it's going to be up to you. All right. And that's very important.
And it's going to be up to you at a time where, at the worst time.
Yes.
It's going to be up to you when your demons are saying, hey, don't do that shit. It's no point. It's not worth it. Just chill out, hang out with me, and we're going to be fine. We're going to be just fine. Don't listen to that asshole. You know what I mean? You know, there's times with my wife, I'll speak on her behalf, when she's got that little demon on her shoulder, and I can just see it saying, I don't listen to that asshole. You don't know what he's talking about. You know what I mean? And it's up to her to differentiate between that influence or what she wants to actually achieve. Right? Now, to get to that point where you can strive to achieve, Eli, man, working with my wife, it shows me that that's hard for newbies, man. You know, for the newbies, they spend half their career in this, fighting their demons. Again, it sounds dramatic, but it's true, man. That's why I've never wanted to deal with other people. I've never wanted to coach anybody properly, because I knew it's going to take decades. I knew that, and I'm not willing to use my time delving and swimming and backstroking in people's feces. You know what I mean? I just didn't want to spend my time doing that. And it's so, I wasn't going to do that, but my wife came along, and you know, I bit the bullet on that. And it's everything that I didn't want at my stage in life. Sometimes I say to her, what did I deserve to deal with your crap at this point? You know what I mean? Sometimes I joke, I mess with her, and I raise my arms up to the sky. What did I do to deserve this? You know what I mean? I told her I'm supposed to be traveling first class right now.
And I got stuck with you.
And now I'm with you. What the hell did happen here? But anyway,
don't take relationship advice from us, guys.
And that's when she's at her lowest point usually. Right? So anyway, but it's true though. These guys, man, and that's again, you said there's no support system for us, because I had to spend, and again I stress this point, it's up to you as an individual to put in that work. Otherwise, there ain't no one else going to do it, man. There ain't no one else going to help you. There ain't supposed to be. My wife's lucky she has me, and she doesn't even utilize me to the fullest potential in order for her to achieve and move quickly through her detox stages so she can get to the next levels. She can't do that. She can't do that. There's too much junk. It takes too much time. And we have to be patient to navigate through this, because you can't rush it. On top of that, Eli, it's all down to the individual. How fast can that individual go? How well can that individual perform? These newbie fruitarians, they come into the fruitarian stage, right? And most of them are completely unaware. Ignorance is bliss. They're completely unaware of what they're getting into, right? And they get their asses kicked. They don't realize that they even have to be world class, and they resent when they do realize they have to be world class, or when some asshole like me says you got to be world class. They don't want to be world class because that's not what they came in for, right? But these guys, they come in and they might do 10 years fruitarianism, but they've done 10 years doing it wrong. They've done 10 years completely disobeying the laws of nature and the spiritual laws, right? Again, ignorance is bliss. Most of them don't know, right? So I'm not getting on anybody's case here, but that's what happens. And a lot of them don't make it. A lot of them go on back on YouTube making these videos talking about, I was 10 years fruitarian and look what it did to me.
Yeah.
Or, you know what I mean? I don't recommend fruitarianism anymore. I've always, I understand where they're coming from, but there's nothing wrong with fruitarianism. You just didn't do it right because there's laws. And then when you delve into how they did it, oh yeah, I drank 20 liters of OJ and I did 30 kgs of bananas every day and I ate 12 watermelon. You know what I mean? It's just stupid shit like that. But it's you know, it's newbies. They come in and they bring in the cook food mentality of how much can I eat? How much can I eat in this? Because nutrition, I need all the nutrition. So, you know, it's indulgence at the end of the day. Most of it is indulgence, it's ignorance. So a lot of people don't even realize when they come into this that they have to be world class or that they have to make such an effort to get by. But they do. And a lot of them resent nature of this. And eventually they get so far and then they rebel.
It's funny. In terms of the mentality that you're talking about, you know that if you, okay, let me just back up here. If you are, let's say you guys are ready to make that change, okay, that shift from raw vegan to something a bit more aligned with the high fruit diet or the fruitarian lifestyle, okay, you're on the verge, you're on the fence, you're ready to make that change. The mindset has to be so firmly rooted in principle that it is common sense and is not requiring discipline. And I've mentioned that before, but it doesn't take any particular discipline for you to avoid smoking or for you to avoid alcohol or for you to avoid, you know, any obviously destructive lifestyle habit, okay? So when the choice to maintain the path is as obvious as that, then you know you're on good footing because then you have integrity. And with that integrity, it doesn't matter how many other people in your environment are going around smoking and drinking, destroying themselves, running to their neighbor's house and punching the daughter in the face because they think that's good. It doesn't matter how many people tell you that that's the way you should operate. You know better and you have absolute integrity. You're like, no, I'm not going to smoke. I don't care how many dupes in my environment are smoking. I know that is absolutely wrong. I'm not going to do it. So you have to, that's the mindset that you have to cultivate, right? For you to be able to last in this environment, right? So for you to deal with your inner demons, when your inner demons see the commercial on TV, they smell the familiar smells. You have some friends over and you're cooking dinner for them, and you're right in the mix of it. You're in the furnace with them. The foods are there. You could just eat it. Unless you have your own integrity, unless your principles are straight, you're not going to make it, right? So
that's right. That's exactly right.
It takes that. It takes that firm conviction, and
you know what, Eli,
to make it. Yeah.
You know what, Eli, and it's something that we covered in the previous show, and I said this before. It takes a filter. It takes for the people not to somehow be able to come into the fruitarian. There needs to be a filter. There needs to be information available where people can say, do I do this or not? Even though I feel like it's most appealing, I need to know the other half of the information. Right, but I'm going to have to be world class and I'm going to have to be a certain type of person because I think this needs to be said, Eli, and nobody wants to say it. And I hate to say it myself, but I'm going to stick my neck out. You have got to be a certain type of person to do this, Eli. It ain't for everybody. That's why I say to people, just stay with the raw vegan. That's for everybody. That's for everybody. Period. Yeah. Fruitarianism, to be honest, from what I've seen, it's for the athletes. It's for the diehards, right? Anything from fruitarianism onwards. Now, you can still be a diehard and be raw vegan, but you don't have to be so damn strict. You don't have to be world class. You can just be international level. You know what I mean? But fruitarianism, you've got to be world class. And especially when you get into the realms of liquidarianism and beyond, and you're getting to the fasting aspect, ready to come around back to fruitarianism. That's how I'm going to put it. Your experience might be different, but I'm going to speak for myself. I like to rotate. I like feast and famine. I never wanted to admit that because I never felt that in the beginning, but I'm coming to see sense, right? Now, feast and famine isn't always you fast for a while and then you have a massive binge. My feast and famine is can be one orange, and fasting for the rest of the day, right? Sometimes that's my feast and famine, right? So when you get to that level, man, you got to know yourself, and it's a beautiful thing, Eli, and you know it when you know yourself to that degree, to when you can do that. You can take one piece. I call it one piece. It's one piece of whatever fruit you like, right? Yeah. You know yourself when you can do that, right? You know how you operate. You know your protocols, and you're willing to not be a part of society, and you're willing to be your own society, to where this is your protocol. This is what you do to get through the day, to function for the rest of the week. It's like you said, you don't follow anybody's drum, the beat of anybody else's drum. You serve your body. The law states you serve your body, not your body serves you. You serve your body. You give your body whatever it needs to function, and it's an exchange, right? It's a complete this is my perspective, right? It's a complete exchange, but ultimately you're serving your body. So much so that you are the one that has to say no cooked food or no poisons. You are the guardian of that. You are the guardian of your body.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. 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 Your body's not going to help you out there.
Going through the ranks, going through the ranks means becoming a better guardian, as you said before. But going through the ranks is akin to becoming a better guardian, and that's what you've got to do. And part of becoming a better guardian is just like you said, it's being able to say no when the crowd says yes.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. It's having the strength to do that. And that's the kind of person you need to be. You need to be basically the world-class athlete that stands alone, that doesn't go with the crowd, because you're a world-class athlete. You can't go to the strip club. You can't get drunk every night because you're a world-class athlete. And you've got to do that with a happy heart. That's fruitarianism. And that's basically how you keep your integrity, is by already being that person. You don't try to make yourself that person. You've got to be that world-class athlete. I always tell the wife, right? There has to be something within you that says no, that stands up and says no.
Otherwise, you're toast. You're toast, right? The world's just going to eat you
toast,
up,
right?
find you up, and spit you out.
You're not going to stand for anything. So I always have to tell her, listen, you have to tap into that part of you that says that refuses to go with the demons, that refuses to back down from your initiation. You've got to be that one that picks up the phone and says, right, I'm in, let's go, right? Yeah. So for me, you've got to have that something in you before you start this fruitarian journey. Yeah. It doesn't matter whether you're a 70-year-old woman. It doesn't matter. That moral compass in you already. Right. If you don't have that and you're just in this for the good time, fruitarianism is not for you. That's my point of view. That's my viewpoint, right? Yeah. My personal viewpoint. Fruitarianism is not for you. I've seen too many good time Charlies come in and a month, and then they get their asses kicked. They get burnt out, they get eating disorders, they get disgruntled, they get resentful, and they hate it. And again, they go on YouTube and say, I did fruitarianism, what it did to me, right? Yeah. So, yeah, there's got to be a filter in place, right? At the end of veganism. And even the end of raw veganism is a good place to be.
Yeah.
People, people don't really need to be fruitarians,
Absolutely.
right? But there's got to be some. There has to be a screw loose in you to begin with to want to cross that line into fruitarianism, right? There has to. I say that in jest, right?
Yes.
But there has to be that sense of elitism, right?
Yeah.
There has to be that sense of I want more. I want to be the best. There has to be that sense already in you, that sense of discipline, commitment. There has to be in you in order for you to even start and have any chance of success, any chance of longevity.
You have to be, I think also you have to be comfortable being alone, comfortable being with yourself.
That's part and parcel, man. Yeah.
Yeah. Because when you're doing this, right, again, you can expect lack of support from the outside world. And if you're the type of person that is not comfortable in their solitude, in their own solitude, and you always need the belonging with the outside world, the verification from the outside world, the corroboration from the outside world. It's not that we don't. It's just that you have to be comfortable when that is not present, because like happy with yourself. You have to be able to feel self-love. All right. You have to recognize the self-love that comes from within and be satisfied with that. That self-support that comes from your innermost being. Because if you're not that type of person, or you don't cultivate that being within you, then you are going to want to fit in. And that fitting in will override whatever discipline you've cultivated to at least approach the path. Eventually that will win out in the end. So I think that's one thing I want to add is just, you've got to be happy and comfortable just being with yourself, alone in a dark room, doing nothing, right? You got to be comfortable there and with no support. And if you are, then that will give you the integrity to maintain yourself here. Because
that's a good start. Yeah,
it's a good start. And this is where your meditation comes in, your visualization come in. Start to create in your mind a visualization of who the person is that you want to see show up, and to hang with that person, right? In your meditations, in your quiet contemplations, hang with that person and draw up a feeling of what that feels like. And then when you're going out day to day, see if you can recall that and start to activate or do behaviors that person would do in your life. And slowly you end up becoming that person. The more you use your visualization skills, as humans have, this marvelous ability that humans have, and starts to create that in your life, right? So, and those are just some of the techniques that you can use. But yeah, I think it becomes important to be very, very, very comfortable being alone, right? It doesn't mean be alone. It just means when that happens, be comfortable with it, because it's in that comfort that you'll extrapolate, that you will apply to the unsupportive world, right? When you can't find information, what are you going to do? You're going to Google, what is the 3 years into fruitarianism, what happens when you eat a bowl full of mushrooms and salt? You're not going to find that. Right? You have to either discover it on your own.
You just can't Google that shit, man. You can't find. No.
You're not going to find it.
The whole loneliness thing that you were talking about, that's just by default.
Yeah.
Your spiritual self says, okay, take everything away. You know what I mean? So that is going to come. That is going to happen by default. And as you said, and I think it's really important that you made that point, that it's going to happen, and that you're going to have to find some way of dealing with it. You know what I mean? Yeah. Again, that thing, I've seen people freak out, man. I've seen people crack up. And then, as you said before, they bring in the worst of their family traits, and they either, depending on who they are, they have the mental breakdowns, they have the tantrums, they have the lethargy or the fatigue or the depression, anxiety, all that stuff that comes with all of this. And they just bring that to the forefront. You know what I mean? And that's why, as you said, you've got to comfort with the adversity. You know what I mean?
And as I say, being comfortable with yourself, comfortable being alone, comfortable maintaining your own integrity in the face of adversity, right? What that sounds like on the face of it is it sounds like restriction. So it sounds like pulling yourself away from all your comforts and just depriving. It sounds like deprivation. But I think what we also want to talk about is how that actually is not deprivation. It is actually liberation, right? It's a very important dichotomy that we have to tease out, right? So being in your room, sitting there and just being happy. Yeah, you might be not partaking in a lot of culture, but what is actually happening is freedom, not deprivation, right? So it's an interesting thing. It's an interesting thing where we are becoming more free, even though on the surface, it seems like we're restricting. And the reason for that, in my opinion, if you ask me, and I'll ask your opinion after, is because whenever you, in my experience, and of course, you could generalize this to all experiences, but anytime you deprive yourself of a need, what you get on the other side is power, is freedom. If you no longer need smoking and cigarettes, then what you've gained is freedom from cigarettes. It doesn't mean that you are depriving yourself of cigarettes now. You have gained freedom. You have gained power over that thing. If you are free yourself from alcoholism, it's not that you are deprived of alcoholism. It means that you have gained power. You have gained freedom from the tyranny of that thing. And that is why, if you ask me, why living this lifestyle allows you to have power over the elements of life. And you gain freedom and power and not necessarily deprivation from those things. So it is an uplifting thing. That's my take on it. What do you think about that? With a restrictive lifestyle actually being freedom, right? Or liberating.
That's actually spot on. That's spot on. I'm gonna add on my layman's common sense, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm gonna tell you this story. I've been doing this reduction thing, right? And this is where I'm at as well, right? So it's kind of, bear in mind where I'm at, right? Which is liquidarianism, fasting, rotating to fruitarianism, blah blah blah. Rinse and repeat, right? Okay. So, but this time round on my journey, I'm no longer the fruitarian megastar. I'm now the student. So what I've been doing is I've been really studying how much are we really supposed to have? Mm-hmm. Is there a supposed to have? Right? Now, I didn't realize I didn't even need to think about it because I didn't realize the path was guiding me to that anyway. My body was pushing me to that regardless. I saw that over time, if I gave it the right environment, if I gave it just by accident, sometimes I would have less. My body would say, hey, yeah, that's what we want. That's what we want. Because I've become highly tuned to listening to my body, right? So, okay. And then I would reduce. And then my body would get better. And that was the time when I was detoxing and I was in great pain. And I saw I had, over time, the less pain I had. Mm-hmm. And I thought, hey, wait a minute, what's going on here? So I really started to play with the reductions. I call it reductions, right? Yeah. With the reductions here. And I really started to get into the whole, hey, how much do we really need? Mm-hmm. And I tell you, Eli, I had to sacrifice muscle or the idea of muscle. I know it's not muscle anyway, it's fat and water, right? Take away fat and water and we are extremely small individuals. Take away fat and water and we are extremely small individuals.
Right.
Right? There's nothing to us. So as humans, we've never had muscle. We don't know what muscle is, right?
Yes.
And we talk about, I don't want to lose my muscle. Bullshit, right? We don't even know what it is. But anyway, there's me saying I had to sacrifice all my muscle, right? Right, so I had to sacrifice all my muscle. I had to sacrifice indulgence, eating whatever I wanted, right? Whatever I wanted. I had to sacrifice in my mind and a lot of people's minds, happiness, because I wasn't socializing, I wasn't drinking alcohol, I wasn't partying at festivals. But the truth is, Eli, all of that was too much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
My body was showing me wisdom. Hey, this is where health is. I'm going to take you where health is. I'm going to take you where we are going to be able to function properly. But I'm not going to like it. But I have to let go of the indulgence. I have to let go of the desire to be Arnold Schwarzenegger. I have to let go of the strip clubs, the alcohol, listen, I don't want people thinking I go to strip clubs. That was a joke, right? But anyway, yeah, I had to let go of that whole mentality is what I'm saying, right? I had to let go of that whole idea of living a life of indulgence or living a life of regular society, Joe Blogs, right? And I had the opportunity to accept true health, understand the true understanding of what true health actually is.
Yeah.
And to understand that all this is too much and it was not true health, it was never going to be true health. And I could be Mr. Fruitarian 2023, but it wasn't right if I was having too much. And this is what the whole thing is. It's not that you're restricted. It's that what we are doing is not right.
Right.
And we're being shown what's right. That's why, Eli, this isn't for everybody. Because the people that it's not for will say, oh, I'm restricted. I can't do this. I can't do that. Because it's all in the way that you look at it. I want to be buff. I want to be like Arnold Schwarzenegger. And now I'm skinny. What the hell? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
But that is where health is. You stepped in, you crossed that line into fruitarianism. And by doing that, you asked for health, for true health. And you asked to be shown what it looked like, what it was. And you then would have the choice whether you to accept it or go back to raw vegan. That's what it is, Eli. And it's not restriction. Although people that it's not right for, or people that it's they're not right for their lifestyle, they're going to be the ones that say, oh, it's restriction. Unfortunately, Eli, the reason why it's looked at as restriction is because of the culture we are in. We are in this new age culture. And that culture, by default, and again, I'm going to get a lot of gunshots for this, is not supportive.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not supportive of, let's say, I'll speak for myself, right? I'll stick my neck out on the line and I'll say, it's not supportive of me. It never has been. It's not supportive of what I want to do. It's not supportive of the fact that I don't want to have too much. I want to do what's right for my body, even if it's not socially acceptable, even if it's breaking down barriers. This is a very lonely path, Eli, when you want to be the best, when you want to actually do what's best for your body, right? When you want to serve your body in the best way possible so your body can say, right, now we're cooking with gas, pardon the pun, right? Now we're doing this thing, right? It's a very lonely path. You know, the new age path is not supportive. And here's the thing, I never fitted into the mainstream. I went running to the new age because that's where fruitarianism was. Fruitarianism is like a little lost boy, right? At a carnival that's lost his parents, right? So he's standing in the lost and found hut by himself, right? Right? That's fruitarianism. That's fruitarianism. And then eventually, everyone's hoping that his parents are going to come and get him, but they never do, right? So that hut is new age. It's a new age movement. Fruitarianism just happens to be there. I went to fruitarianism. I didn't really realize, even though I felt I was kind of spiritual, I was kind of open-minded like that, but I never classed myself as new age. I had to force myself into that envelope. And I did it willingly because I thought, oh, this is cool. Chicks are nice. You know what I mean? Everything seems okay. I like this, right? Until you start making movements for yourself, right? And realize, oh, I don't fit in here either because I'm a bit on the extreme side, apparently. So that's what I feel, you know, We try to do this in a culture that is not supported, right? Meaning the mainstream culture, because hell no, the mainstream culture is not going to support. In fact, actually, I found more support in the mainstream culture than I have in New Age, right? Because at least the mainstream culture supports going to the gym, right? Mainstream culture supports going to the gym, supports working out, supports fighting, it supports doing all that shit, right? As far as doing fruitarianism in the New Age movement, no, you're going to be a very lonely boy, right? And you're going to find yourself on the outside. How do you deal with that? It depends who you are. It depends who you are. I'll tell you, Eli, you deal with it a lot better than I do. It depends who you are. It depends who you are. I don't play nice with others, and that tends to be my thing. I take gunshots for that, but that's across IB. I love it. To be honest with you, with what I know I have to do in life, I know I have to be that way. As much as I want to be, I cannot be like you. I can't. Not with what I've got to do. I've got to be that asshole. I've got to get up people's asses like a tick, man. You know what I mean? You're gonna have to get up just to get me out your ass, man. I have to be that guy. So it all depends on who you are, and you have to kind of formulate a plan if you are going to get into this, on how you're going to present yourself in various situations, right? You do it very well. You walk the line very well. This has got your name written all over it, right? And you walk the line very well. You do your job very well. Others I've seen they don't do so well, man. They really don't do so well. They're fighting breakdowns. They just cannot keep up. They cannot handle themselves. Not only that, New Age is beating them down. New Age is saying, don't do that, do this, right? Oh, I knew a guy that was fruitarian and he lost all his teeth. Oh, I knew a guy that was fruitarian and he got diabetes. Oh, I know a guy that was, you know what I mean? They're constantly bombarded with that shit.
Yeah.
Right? And that's not to say everybody's against it, but the vast majority of people, Eli, are not supportive of fruitarian. Right? They'll tolerate you, but you're not the ideal.
Yeah.
Right? And heaven forbid you actually have success and you get buff and you get athletic and you can do all kinds of stuff. Oh, they're not going to want to know you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They won't even be able to look at. They won't even be able to look you in the eye, man. And I'm not lying. That's true. I've had it. I've had it so many times. You know, they see you as this. They see you as this dude that you're not.
Yes.
And they don't even want to know you.
Yeah.
And they treat you worse. They treat you worse than mainstream. You know what I mean? I go in the gym, Eli. When I walk in the gym, I walk in the gym as a liquidarian, a proud liquidarian, right? And I wear my tight shit. And you can see my abs, you can see my pecs, you can see my shoulders, you can see all, right? There's nothing left to the imagination. These guys can't even look me in the eye. Right? These guys can't even look me in the eye. Yet when I put on my hoodie, my baggy hoodie, and my fat pants, right? Oh, these guys are all over me. These guys are all over me. You know what I mean? Because I don't even look like I lift weights when I'm wearing those clothes. But when I'm wearing my running pants, my tight shit, and I'm looking fly, oh my God, these guys can't even look me in the eye, man. Seriously. And that's the best of them. And I catch so many guys speaking over machines to actually have a look at me. You know what I mean? To actually admire me. That's the God's honest truth, man. And I see it all the time. And that's how people are. And you've got to be proud, man. You've got to, and this is the thing. You can't be stuck in these mental breakdowns, man. You've got to move. Woman, you've got to move. Move. You've got to sprint. You cannot be stuck because it will grab you, man. And it will pull you down. So you've got to be working constantly. I was just telling her this morning. You've got to be planning, constantly planning. How can you improve your cardio? How much do you have to increase on the stroke? You've got to be planning constantly. You've got to be keeping ahead. That's the life. Because this culture, new age, listen, new age people ain't going to help you. They're not going to help you. It's up to you. And the same people that won't even look at you, or the same people that used to bitch and complain at me that I was doing muscle ups, are the same people that will turn around and say, "Oh, you look great. Oh, you look great. What have you been doing?" You know what I mean? And it's true. They're not going to help you, man. And they're going to drag you down. They're going to put you down. They're going to say all kinds of shit about you. They ain't you, right? So you got to go for yourself. It's lonely, man. Well, that's how you get past it. You got to be an athlete.
Yeah. Oh no, I was going to say, I'll tell you guys a story out there. A couple of days ago, or maybe last week, we have in Toronto, we have the Jazz Festival. Okay, it's an annual thing, the Jazz Festival. Huge section of the downtown area gets cut off. You know, the roadblocks come up, and it's all jazz musicians just lining up the streets, and a whole bunch of garbage food, right, to support the jazz. So it's it's great. It's a party. All the people are dancing in the streets, and so I wanted to go and check it out because I'm like, I've never been to the Jazz Festival, so why don't I go and take a stroll down the strip and then have some fun? I tell you guys, you do not belong because it's all, the whole shebang is all friggin' beaver tails. I don't know if you guys know what beaver tails are. It's just this
barbecue,
pastry, fat and sugar, and it's just nonsense. They've got hot dogs and buttered popcorn and freezies for the kids, to cater to the kids. Yeah. Let's just give them neurotoxin laden sweets,
chemicals and shit. Yeah.
It's the whole strip is filled with garbage. And the smells are suffusing through the air, cooked oils and cooked carbohydrates and processed this and processed that. All the smells are hitting you. People are eating and drinking. And okay. You think I ran into a vendor that was Matilda's fresh pears? No. Dr. Johnny's fresh cut pineapples? You think that vendor existed at the no. This is nowhere to be seen.
Hell no.
So now my question.
Yeah.
Do you think that I walked down that strip feeling deprived, that I couldn't eat any of that, or that I wouldn't eat any of that? No, because someone on the outside might say, okay, you're out. Don't you just want to enjoy life? Don't you just want to cater to yourself? It's just one day out of all the days you were sticking to your diet. Why don't you just cut loose? And the thing to remember, it's not that I'm depriving myself of a want. It's that the nature of your want changes. With your evolution comes the evolution of what you desire. So it's not that I'm depriving myself of the desire, depriving myself of the want. It's just that the nature of my wants have become a bit more lofty. And so I want things that I cannot achieve by cheating in that way, by bringing myself so low. By bringing my body to crush the bone, by eating the garbage that's at these things, right? It's not a prescription to say be perfect. Like, I'm not saying you must be perfect. You can, if you want to indulge and you want to play and have fun with some of the, some whole food, cooked food or whatnot. I'm not saying never do that or have a coconut here or there. That's not what I'm saying. To bring yourself down to the depths of the worst, that's the landmine that you step on. That's what you don't want at all. Your body can deal with a little bit of setback, if you intelligently decide that's what you want to do for whatever reason. I'm not suggesting that you do that often. I'm just saying that you can. But again, we do it with understanding now. We do it with a completely new set of desires. And because those desires have reset and been reformed into something higher, then what you end up with is freedom. You walk that line of just garbage and just nonsense, and you are free from the tyranny of wanting those things. That's the difference.
Eli, I'm gonna tell you a story, right? Yeah. I love saying I'm gonna tell you a story because it makes me sound like a wise old man, right?
You are.
Hey, easy, man. I'm 52. I'm 52.
Nothing. Yeah, you're a wise man. You're a wise man.
There you go. There you go. All right, right. So here's my take on it, right? In being a student, right, I've also relearned. I've also been reminded that when you go to the lengths that we're at, right? I always tell the wife, there's no going back. There's no going back unless you, we call sedation, we call eating cooked food sedation. So I would say to her, unless you sedate for about a week, right? And I can tell you something, right? Doing what I'm doing right now, doing what even what she's doing is so damn powerful. Even if she's sedated for a whole day, she will still get the benefits of what she's been doing 5 days for the next 5 days. It is so damn powerful, right? What she's doing, and if she's sedated for one whole day, that sedation wouldn't even touch her, right? It wouldn't even touch her, right? Because what she's doing is so powerful. So my thing is, right, is that, and it kind of touches into what you were saying. My thing is that when you go to those levels, yes, everything stuff shrinks. Your stomach shrinks, your organ shrinks, right? Things change. Chemical structure, molecular, whatever, cellular, all that shit changes. It all changes, which means, and microbiome changes, which means you're not the same person, right? And I can tell you, if it was me going down that strip, what would be coming to my mind is, oh, that would be way too much. Oh, that would go against the laws of my body. And it would be to where I couldn't have any of that shit anyway, because in my mind, oh, that's too much. It's an incredible thing to look at. Absolutely incredible. When you start tapping into the laws, you've gone through the detoxes to actually eliminate that shit. You know what I mean? It's just incredible. So that's how I would look at it.
And yeah, and we're talking here about obeying, right? So the more laws of vitality that we can actually discover, and once we discover them, obey those laws. What happens is, and I like to stylize this as, you come back home. Okay, you come back home to the liberation and the freedom and the joy and the grandeur and the wondrous nature of being a human being, right? And you're coming back home to that spiritual freedom that comes with obeying the law. Because people want to get this idea that you tell them you have to obey. What they do is they equate that with obeying governmental tyrannical laws. And they get the wrong idea. They feel, oh, restriction? Oh, hell no, right? It's not the same. It is not the same. Because you have been obeying, in a manner of speaking, those laws from the very moment that you took your first breath on this planet. You've had no choice but to obey the laws of reality. It's just that later on, you recognize that you don't have any choice in the matter. And you can try to disobey, but you do it at your own peril. So the consequences of disobedience are inherent in the behavior itself, where they bring you health and disease and all that kind of stuff. So you might as well obey and reap the benefits of obeying, and thus giving you more liberation, more freedom, more vitality, more wellness, a chiseled body, whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
So it's in obedience that you start to come home to the best part of you, right? The best part of being you. And walking that ridiculous procession of just garbage food, and just walking it with this confidence and this pride that you are not so silly as to partake. Right? It's a wonderful thing. It's a beautiful thing. And and I would invite people to explore this so that they can start to come back home to themselves. But it's a process, and it takes conviction at first, at least, right? And it also takes understanding. You have to be understanding. If you're not coming from the place of understanding, it's not going to work. And unless you're convicted in your understanding, it is also not going to work.
I think understanding is a great word to use, because I always tell a wife, I told her from day one, the most important thing you could ever know is understanding. if you have the right understanding, even if you don't have the ability, as long as you have the right understanding, you can do anything. But it's up to you to be able to do it. You know what I mean? And it's not always about being buff. It's not always about being aggressive. It's not always about being able to talk well. It's not always about being intellectual. It's just having that right understanding and being able to do what it takes. That's how I've got successful. That's how I've got success. I'm not the most intellectual. I'm not the most articulate. I'm not. People always say I'm aggressive, but I'm not the most. I'm not the most. I'm just not the most social. You know what I mean? So, but what I have been able to do is I've been able to do very well to navigate the waters. That's what I've been able to do very well. So understanding is understated, man. It's so important. To go back to your story about the strip, that is, I love those things, man.
Yeah.
I love those things. But also, you've got to know how to stay away.
Yeah.
You know, for other people, you've got to know the pitfalls. You've got to know, okay, what's safe to do and what's not safe. You know what I mean? Knowing what's going to be out there, knowing the energy, knowing the vibe, you know, knowing where you're at in your process. And this is as a fruitarian, right? You've got to, places like that, I would definitely tread carefully. And you've got to be able, again, have the understanding that that's what you're going to have to do. You know what I mean? You could navigate those waters very well. Other people that I've seen, yeah, they would have severe issues, man. They would have severe problems. And that's just normal. That's just part and parcel of the game. You know what I mean? Until I've been doing this for decades, man. I've been doing this for decades. And it's like I can still go to those places and see the fun in those things. Right? Big time. Like, oh man, I bet it'd be fun to have that. Oh, I bet it'd be fun. But I know, oh, but that's too much.
It's just too much.
That doesn't go by the laws of the game. You know what I mean? And it's not that I can't have it, it's that I actually don't want it. Because things change in your body. I always tell the wife, you better get used to being a killer. Because you're gonna be massacring microbiome, you're gonna be massacring all kinds of shit in your intestine. You're gonna be massacring all kinds of stuff in your body that's been dictating what you eat and you don't eat, right? And it's true. You're gonna have to get used to that. I've seen her reacting to that mentally and expressing it physically. It's awful, man. It's awful to see the frustration, the torment. You know what I mean? It's awful. And as you know, when you're in a relationship, you've kind of got to, and you're doing that with somebody, like the fruitarian thing. I always say, I've seen so many bright-eyed, bushy-tailed young hippies in a relationship, right? Ponytails and shit. You know what I mean? Ponytails and shit, and you know, the beard and the dreadlocks and everything, right? And it's like, oh, we're going to do the fruitarian thing. And it's like, I always look at them and think, you have no idea. And I always, in the back of my head, I'm thinking, I'll give you 2 weeks. No, I'll give you 3 months. I'll give you 3 months and you're going to be wanting to kill each other. Because I've seen it too many times, Eli. I've seen it too many times. These people, they get into relationships, right? Or they're already in a relationship, and fruitarianism comes in like a bull in a china shop, man.
Yeah.
Wrecks the whole damn thing. I've seen it too many times. Oh, we're twin flames.
Yeah. Yeah.
oh, we're twin flames.
You're saying two people that want to adopt fruitarianism at the same time, so they're already a couple, and then they decide.
Oh, they're already a couple. I've seen many couples that are already a couple.
Okay.
Right? Come up to me, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed.
Okay.
Oh yeah, we're gonna do this, and we're gonna, you know, move to Shangri-La at the end of it, right? And I'm like, no. And I've how's so and so years later? How's so and so got on, right? Oh yeah, they split up. They split up years ago. They split up years ago. I was like, yep, okay, I saw that coming. You know what I mean? Or you speak to them, or you speak to the actual couple, and it's like, oh yeah, we just didn't see, certain things came up and blah blah blah.
What
It's
happened?
always the same story, and it's just awful, man. It's awful, and it's like that's why I never wanted to coach anybody. I used to do camps for the weekend, but I always stop short of coaching people. I always stop short of that shit, man. Because you got to go into cleansing with these people. You got to go into doing colonics with these people. You got to go into changing their environment. And you got to go against the resistance, Eli. They're going to resist you like a mofo, man. So imagine people doing that by themselves. You know what I mean? With no help. They might have some YouTube, and that's all they have. That's all they have. And it's like, listen, I'm going to tell people, man, I don't recommend it. I do not recommend fruitarianism to anybody unless you're hardcore. If you've had experience of being a top athlete, that goes in your favor. Yeah. But if you're just two hippies, man, if you're just two hippies holding hands, skipping and shit, and you think you're gonna, be sipping on watermelon juice on the beach for the rest of your lives. Hell no, man. It's going to be World War VI. It's going to be World War VI within weeks, man.
I want my Buddha bowl.
It's going to be World War VI within weeks, man. And they ain't got nothing's going to stop it. You know what I mean? Nothing's going to stop it. Me and my wife, right? I've been coaching her for the last 9 years since our first day we met, pretty much. But we actually got into the fruitarian thing after the first 2 years. So she's got that thing that won't quit. So we're lucky there, right? So she'll make it. But she'll be the death of me, I think. But she has got that thing that won't quit. Now I'm going to say this for the people. In order to be in a relationship with somebody and go through this at a high level fruitarian or high level liquidarian, I'm going to be brutally honest, right? I'm going to make a change and I'm going to be brutally honest. We are only together because of me, because of my past experience. Left up to her, this relationship would have been over. It doesn't matter. When we first started to do this, or when we discussed this, I gave her the biggest lecture. I told her, and this is me, world-class fruitarian, world-class liquidarian, right? This is me telling her, not some chump off the street. This is me giving her the inside scoop. I've given her information that no one could possibly give her, right? It doesn't matter how much you tell these people, Eli. It doesn't matter how much you tell these women that you're going to get into a relationship with. Nothing prepares them for what they're going to encounter because they think it's real. Right? They think the situations that come up are real. But I told her, the moment you cross the line, you're going to be tested. You're going to be put through the furnace. Don't buy into the okie doke. Don't fall for it. None of the situations are going to be real. I told her, stuff about your parents are going to come up because that's one of the old plays. Stuff about your parents are going to come up. Don't fall for it. And what happened? Stuff about her parents came up almost immediately. What did she do? She fell for it. It's what's going to happen. No matter how much you tell these people, nothing can possibly prepare them for the onslaught. Nothing can possibly prepare them for the emotional floodgates, the Pandora's box. Pandora's box is a very good description, man. Because once that shit's open, it's hell when you're doing this with somebody else. Now, imagine I was some chump off the street. I was some hippie with dreadlocks and never wore a shirt, right? And we were trying to do this together. And I didn't know what I was doing. We wouldn't last 3 weeks, man. We wouldn't last 3 months. You know what I'm saying to you? It's a bull in a china shop for relationships. So it's because only 2 reasons that we're together. She has that thing that I said everybody has to have.
Yeah, okay.
Because this isn't for the lightweights. You have to have something in you that won't quit. And the other thing is me. because I understood. And she just didn't quit. She was world class at being an asshole. Everything I called, she did, and then some. Everything. I told her, don't go down that road because you just can't come back from it, and you're going to say stupid stuff and you can't take it back. What did she do? She went running down that road as fast as she could, right? I called it already because I knew exactly what was going to happen when you deal with other people. And I said, on top of it all, I'm going to be the asshole. Doesn't matter how many times I drag you out of the ditch, I'm going to be the asshole. What happened? Every time I dragged her out of the ditch. Oh, you should have just left me. I was perfectly fine. Blah, blah. You're an asshole. That's what happens. So I understood. I'm not gonna lie to you, Eli. There were moments where I wanted to call it a day. Because it's too much, man. Dealing with people's demons is heavy work, man. It's too much. And it even got too much for me on many occasions. People get started with this, man. I remember when I was going through my shit, I got suicidal. You know what I mean? She's nearly got suicidal. Yeah, this is serious. This ain't a joke, man. This is no joke. And if you're gonna do this with somebody else, you've got to know your shit, man. You don't have to be a doctor. You don't have to be a intellectual, but you just got to know your shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You've got to know when to say, hey, backing off. We're gonna go back to that cooked food for a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Reset, regroup, get our heads back together, fight another day. You know what I mean?
Right.
Otherwise, it ain't gonna last, man. Even though you could have the best intentions as the most experienced, you're going to be tested. You're going to be pushed. You know what I mean? We've been going at it for, we've got 9 years in the game. 9 years in the game, Eli.
It's awesome, man.
And she's still a newbie, and she's still a junkie. She's still unstable.
Right.
You know how it is, man. It's just, she's probably got another 10 years to go before she even realizes, oh, something's not quite right. That's how it is, Eli. That's how it is. It could take 20, 30 years being in the game before you even realize I've got to make sense of this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Not everyone's like us. I lied to you, Eli. Not everyone's like you. It took me over 20 years, my friend, for me to get it. You know what I mean? I'm lucky I can move fast. I'm lucky I can sprint. That's all. Then I had to work my ass off. That's how I've become the man I am. That's why I'm so honest. That's why I'm so blunt. That's why I do what I do. Because I had to work my friggin' ass off in the darkest of times, man. I've had to deal with the darkest of times. That does something to you. You understand?
Yeah.
That can't help but make you world class. So this is the thing, Eli. It's no joke. It really is no joke. So when you go into this as a high level fruitarian or liquidarian, even I don't know about raw vegan, because a lot of things with raw vegan, you can just eat your way out of it. You know what I mean? You can just eat your way out of it. But what do you do when you know I've had my quota? I've had my orange today. Now I've got to live it. Now I've got to just live, right?
Right.
And one of my things is with our relationship is I always say number one rule is no stress, 0 stress. We must not have stress in the house. That's my number one rule, right? Because it affects the gym, it affects everything, right? And you wouldn't expect that listening to me swearing and all this kind of shit on the shows. But it's true. It's true. I always say no stress in the house, right? No stress. So when you get into this with someone else, Eli, man, you've got to know your shit because you will also be tested to whole new levels.
Gotcha.
Right? You will be pushed and to whole new levels. So anybody that's been gifted the opportunity to do this with a partner, you have to know that you're destined for bigger things because you're being prepared for bigger things. You're being groomed. You know what I mean? Because sometimes I'm the kind of guy that will be stuck. I'm the kind of guy that will say, no, I'm going to stay here. Your higher self will find ways to move you.
Yeah.
So what it will do is it will say, right, I'm with the most ignorant person I can find, right? And you gotta sort them out. That's your test. That's your furnace all over again. Right? Don't look at the situation, look at the test.
Okay. Yeah.
Look at how you're being tested and deal with that. Don't look at the situation. Don't look at how your mum said this and how your dad never hugged you at night and how this and that. And don't look at that. Look at the test, because you're supposed to throw all of that away, right? So when you're in this with a partner, your partner's supposed to have the understanding, if they can. You're supposed to uphold. In fact, you're supposed to hold space for her or him. You know what I mean? If you're going to do this together, you got to help each other out, man. And it's got to be something so strong within you both. Otherwise, you ain't going to make it. There's no way, no guarantees you're going to make it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that all comes from having the conviction within. Don't look to your significant other for that support. That support's got to come, from inside you.
Yeah.
I had a question for you. So so that we're talking about two people who want to do this together. So either one person is already on the path and then they bring in the significant other and then they get interested and they want to do it too. What does this work in the case where you got someone like myself, yourself, or anyone who's doing fruitarianism, liquidarianism, and they end up meeting someone who doesn't walk that path at all, like is either raw vegan, which is perfect, or something other than that. Is it even possible? Is it feasible? Are they inevitably bound for disaster? I mean, can that work? Is there a world where that work?
One of the things you have to realize as well, and I know you know this, right?
Yeah.
But one of the things that the rest of the people need to understand is that she was picked for me.
I see. Yeah.
She was already supposed to come to me, and I was already supposed to come to her. So it was already destined, right? In our belief system, right? It was already done. We were both toast, right? We already had to do the work together. End of story. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now it's up to us whether we want to answer the phone call every day. That's what it boils down to.
Yeah.
If she's willing, I've upheld my side of the bargain every day for the last 9 years, right? If she's willing to do the same, we'll make it. All of a sudden it'll click and we'll make it, right? So in that sense, yeah. When it's predestined on a spiritual level, yeah. Now, if you go out now and you get some chick off the street, right, from that strip, right, and she's got a big ass turkey, those big ass Viking turkey legs in her, right? She's got one of those big ass Viking turkey legs in her hand, right, and she's chomping, smack, and she's just smacking, right? Yeah, there may be some question about that one. There may be some question about that one, right?
Yeah. Might not work.
But if it's predestined, which is what a lot of these New Age people, they believe they're twin souls, and it's like, oh yeah, we're gonna do this as our lifestyle, fruitarianism, and we're gonna be clean, and we're gonna be so much in love, and we're gonna have a pure love, and we're gonna have a pure lifestyle, and all that. I've seen it, man. I've seen it. I've heard it. I bought the DVD on that shit, man. Yeah. everyone goes in that way. Oh, we're twin flames, and we're gonna have a pure lifestyle, and we're gonna have a pure love, and it's gonna be wonderful. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they don't last 3 months. They don't last 3 months. They don't last their detox. They might get through a couple of detoxes, the initial detoxes. After that, they're sick of each other. That's the furnace. That's the furnace, baby. Your relationship would be tested if you're really supposed to be in it. That shit's gonna test it, man. And you've got years to go of being tested. Yeah. Yes, after a while. And this is the thing with me, right? I know for a fact, all the chaos is because you're ingesting too much and you're not abiding by the laws. Once you get below that line, imagine a cup, right? And you keep overfilling the cup, it spills over, right? Right. So imagine you only go up to the top and it doesn't spill over. Everything's fine.
Right.
Everything's fine. There's peace. You don't have to keep cleaning stuff up. Everything's fine. As long as you stop at the line, right? Yeah. Once you do that in your life, right, you'll find everything calms down. The only chaos that will be is internal cleanup. And you know, as long as you have the understanding of, yeah, I don't buy into that, I just let it all out in my chimney and let it go. You know what I mean? It's extremely tough, but you'll be fine. People going on that strip, they won't have any understanding about that shit. Can you imagine telling them, hey, try this fruitarian thing out. It's a trip. You'll love it.
No chance. Yeah, no chance.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'd love to. You know what I mean? Can you imagine the chaos?
Yeah.
You'll end up in jail because they'll be screaming out murder within 10 minutes.
Once you decide to pull in that other person, what you can expect is to have your integrity challenged yet to another level. Because now you're going to be in the context of a completely other person.
Yeah.
You're going to be subjected to a whole set of new influences that are coming from a person that is now bonded more tightly with you than the other environment that you're used to walking around in and just being all confident, you know, secure. Now it's coming from someone who you have deeper connection to. If they are something that, generally speaking, in normal environment you would have just ignored, now that influence is right in your face in a more profound way. So you're going to have to, you know, that's the deeper challenge now.
In my mind, I always say, I don't tell it to the wife, but in my mind, I always say, it's like having your own baby. It's like she's my baby. Yeah. I have to look at her as my baby. You know, you have to do that because you cannot expect her to behave any other way than a baby. You cannot expect anybody that you bring into this to behave any other way but like a baby. I've seen it too many times, man. This lifestyle reduces people back to their childhood, man. Yes. You know what I mean? The worst of their childhoods. My wife, sometimes she runs around like a little 5-year-old girl, man, like a little 5-year-old brat. You know what I mean? Spoiled brat. And it's like, woman, get a grip of yourself, man. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I tell her that not because I'm an asshole, but I tell her that because I know what we're doing. Yeah. I know it's not real. So please, people, don't act like, oh, he's so cruel to his wife. No, it's because I know what we're doing. This shit ain't real. That's why I'm so brutal with it all. Because I know it's not real. And you're a fool to fall for it. You're a fool to destroy a relationship because you believe you're still upset over your mum not hugging you. You know what I mean? All these years. It's ridiculous. You're being tested and you're being put in the furnace. The spirit world will do that to you. Your higher self will do that to you because you've got to be tried and tested. You've got to be where they can trust you. You've got to be where you can get up in front of people and speak the truth and not be swayed, not be blackmailed, not be bribed, not nothing. You get up on that stage in front of people and those people can trust you. Why? Because you're tried and tested. Right. And that will be done in relationships. That will be done in all kinds of ways. Your higher self will find every way possible to make you world class. You understand what I'm saying to you? Yes. I'm decades in the game, Eli, and that includes being tested. That includes the furnace. Listen, when you've been this long in the game, you've been in the furnace as many times as I have. It changes you as a person. You don't see the people the way other people do. You don't see things the way. I've been privileged enough to accept the fact that I'm going to be put in the furnace time after time. But it makes you world class, which means, you know, Floyd Mayweather can talk shit, right? Why can he talk shit? Because he's been world champ. Yeah. He's seen things, right? Yeah. He's seen things that minions like us, we don't see. Exactly. He sees the backstage. He sees what goes on behind the scenes. He sees all the shysters. He sees all the people getting shafted, right? Because he's world champ. And what do people say when he talks shit? Oh, you're just being negative. Oh, you're just an asshole. No, he's not. He's world champ. If you ask Serena Williams, oh yeah, this goes on, that goes on. Yeah, oh yeah. Is it being negative? No, it's being world champ. Exactly. And that's the thing with you. You'll be able to talk about the things, good or bad, that goes on. In fact, you won't give a shit. You'll just be able to talk about shit that goes on. You know what I mean? That's how it is. I do it. I just talk. I don't specifically set out to talk shit or just talk about the bad stuff. No, I just talk. And it just so happens that everything that happens is pretty shit. You know what I mean? That's just the way it is, Eli. You know what I mean? That's just the way it is. That's what that's the culture.
Yeah.
That happened to me, I'm gonna be pretty shit because I'm by myself. I'm by myself. I'm pretty much outside of the new age. I never fitted in there anyway. I only went in there for the fruitarianism. And it's like, okay, I've seen too many people getting screwed over. I've seen too many people with unstable emotional people abuse other people. You know what I mean? Again, you know the predators, you know the gurus with body counts,
Yeah.
the sexual predators, the raw food gurus with friggin' body counts, the shysters ripping people off. Sometimes do all three. And people call me negative, you know what I mean? So so it's just what it is. The culture is not kind to people like us, right? And it just so happens I'm not willing to walk as well as you in regards to that, right? I just can't be bothered, man. I got too much to do. I just can't be bothered, and I don't do it very well, right? So I don't bother.
Yeah.
My advice to people as well, if they find that what we're talking about, if they resonate with what we're talking about not necessarily fitting in, or what I'm talking about not necessarily fitting in, I would advise that you don't look for relationships in the raw food community. You just work on being a good person and as a person, not because of what you do or how you think, right? You work on yourself first, right? Heaven forbid people work on themselves first, right? Before they get into a relationship.
Right. Yeah.
But you work on yourself first, right? During the fruitarian lifestyle, that's an extreme version of working on yourself, because that'll do it. That'll clear out the shit. That'll clear out the shit. But it's an extreme yourself, right?
Yeah.
Right. Right. And then I wouldn't look to the New Age community either for support. I would build your own kind of support system. As I said before, I've actually got more support from the mainstream than I have from the people that were actually supposed to be holding my hand, right? So even though we're trained as fruitarians to be anti-mainstream, I've actually had more support from the mainstream community than I've had from the people that were training me to be against them, right? So my advice to people that kind of resonate with me or us, don't follow the New Age, because they're not gonna support you, and they're not supposed to. I don't understand how fruitarianism ended up in the New Age, but it is. Don't isolate yourself from the mainstream. No, you can still have a great life. I do it. I have a great life. I have a wonderful life. I just don't have a very big. I have a tiny circle. I'm pretty much a recluse, actually. But I tell you something, I feel far safer in the mainstream than in the New Age. I remember, you meet people in the New Age community, and it's only a matter of time before they're singing nursery rhymes. Right. You know what I mean? It actually happened to me, man. I used to say hi to this guy in the street, and we got talking, and we became okay buddies, right? And then it was months later, I tried to talk to him again, and he's singing nursery rhymes to me. He's looking me dead in the eyes, full on eye contact, Eli, and he's singing nursery rhymes to me. And I'm like, oh, fucking no, he's gone. Okay, he's gone. I literally, Eli, had to walk away. It was one of the saddest things I've ever had to do, man. Just one of the most disappointing things I've ever had to do. And that's what it will do to you. That's what it will do to you. And he was the real new age, where he wore a top hat and everything, the top hat and the old 14th century army jacket, long ass. All he needed was a musket, right? That type of dude, that type of new age dude.
Wow.
Right? Okay. He was that type of new age dude, right?
Yeah.
Kind of boy George looking type, right?
Yes.
And he lost it after a while, man. He lost it. So that's the kind of environment I had to work my way out of. If anybody feels like they can resonate, I strongly advise them to just have some savvy, man, about where you're at and what you want to achieve. If you're more of an athletic person, do that shit. but just have more savvy. Check out your work or my work or someone that's doing what you want to do. I tend to study a lot of the mainstream people's work, and I get some gems out of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You'll get nothing from the new age. Absolutely nothing. So don't waste time. Don't waste time. It's just a nice place to hang out and get out.
No, I hear you, man. I hear you. It's really important for people concepts to wrestle with when you're embarking on this journey, and when you want to do it with someone else, right? Just you have to expect that what you're doing with that relationship is that you're sharing, you're trying to share your integrity with someone else, right? But it's got to be whole. You can't, if you're going into that relationship with any kind of additional need, right? That might eat away at you. You might be disappointed because as the relationship,
you will,
yeah, if the relationship goes on past the honeymoon phase, past all all that stuff, and you start to get really comfortable with the person, then you might see different things show up, and if that neediness is now impaired because of that different person showing up, because you've been in the relationship for 2 to 3 years or whatever, 4 years, then that's gonna change things. So it's really going to challenge you. You got to bring your integrity, your self-love, your integrity, and your wholeness. You've got to really make sure that's on point, so that you are only setting a good example for the world around you, and more importantly, for the person that you're bringing into your relationship.
You have all that, right? You have all that. As a person, you come into a relationship and you have all that, right? Let me tell you something. Bringing a person into this is going to destroy all of that. It's going to destroy all of that instantly. And you're going to have to live with your trust being broken in that person every fucking day. And still be able to look at that person in the eye and say, I love you.
Yeah.
Just think about that, people.
That's right. Yeah. Because
it's no joke.
It's no joke. Yeah.
You're dealing with the alcoholic, drug addict, every kind of addict in one person. Every kind of mental disorder in one person. All that shit in one person. Because that's what's going to come back out. So it's no joke, man. So I need people to understand the level of responsibility that you're going to have.
I'm so happy that we've got you here to be sharing this, because this is an important thing, guys. This is a really important thing. We've got someone here that is just really been, like you said, forged in that fire many times. You're getting world-class experience here, world-class advice from someone who's accrued experience.
It's a lot for some people to take. It's a lot for most people to take, actually. It's not for everybody, but it is what it is.
I can't tell you how happy I am that you can get, or that we can get as an audience, this type of thing from yourself. And I'm doing what I can on this channel. I want to just thank you so much, because again, I feel that these dialogues are just being instrumental value. I always look forward to when we can hash stuff out like this in the future. But that'll probably have to start wrapping it up for today. So just want to say, if you guys have been out there listening, thank you so much for joining in. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. Make sure to give us a like, give it a thumbs up, tell your friends about this. If you want to share what you've learned here, then I encourage you to do so, and that'll help out the channel, and it'll help us continue to do the good work that we're trying to do, and that we've always been trying to do. So thank you so much, brother. Any final thoughts?
Freaking awesome, Eli. It's been freaking awesome. Absolutely awesome to do this with you. It's really healing for me as well, because I've known, because my higher self was like, you've got to share, you know what I mean? Because I'm getting more and more reclusive. So it's like, my higher self was like, boy, you got to share stuff, have it out there, do it in a certain way, you know what I mean? So where people can, because this stuff is the truth and it will stand a test of time. So it's been amazing to do these. It's been absolutely amazing to do this. Again, just let me know. Just hit me up on Facebook if you've got any ideas. We'll do something else.
Love it.
It's been so much fun, and it's been extremely healing for me as well. Just to release and get it out. It's going to be nice to know that they're out. It's out now. That they're out there. My wife loves these. She's listening she's got them on her iPod. She's there all day long with these things, right?
Yeah.
So it's helping, and it's just an honor to know that that's our input. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's wonderful to help people, man. Wonderful.
It is. It's so fulfilling. You know, it's so fulfilling knowing that you're contributing to the good. It is so fulfilling, and that is what you will be doing, whether you like it or not. When you even start to do this in your life, when you start to apply the laws of nature, the laws of vitality to your life, and actually live in accordance with those, you will be making a difference for the general positive good of all humankind, of all mankind. You know, just by virtue of living that, you'll see the results of your own body, and then through the fires of purification and all that, so all the nonsense that you have to go through, but you will be making a difference just by living in that way, because you will be setting an example regardless of whether you want to be setting an example or not.
Exactly.
This is that super important, great work that we're talking about here, guys. Like Genesis said, it's no joke. Ain't no joke. We're here for a reason, and this is one of those reasons that is very, very important, if you ask us. So, guys, thank you so much. We got to go. We'll look forward to giving you more content in the future, and I'm sure we'll have more of these dialogues to add as we go on. But that'll be it for now, guys. So love you very much, and we'll see you on the next one. Dennis is Sunfire. It's always a pleasure.
Massive love to you.
Yeah, you too, my man. Okay, all right, guys. Take care. Thanks. We'll see you on the next one.
Ciao.